Hi there, welcome to Green Shoe. This is Conversations with Green Shoe, episode 10. I'm Stephanie Cochran and I'm the executive director for the Green Shoe Foundation. And we're excited to have this conversation today with me. I have some amazing people with my team. We've got Miss Rebecca Holt. You guys know her. She's joined us on several conversations, but making her debut is our social media marketing person, Miss Amanda Newland. Hey, Amanda, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. Rebecca, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, you and I have done this many a times. And Amanda is always the behind the scene person. What a lot of people don't know, she's on the podcast. We just hide her and she does all of our technical stuff for us. But we really wanted to kind of bring her on today. The last couple of weeks, we've been talking about self-esteem. And Rebecca, you've been helping us with some of those conversations about how our model looks at self-esteem. And I know for me personally, when I came on, this was probably one of the biggest, aha moments, light bulb moments, whatever you want to call it, because it's just rooted in the fact I am worthy. You talked about how when we were born as little babies with all of this innate worth.
Yep.
And that never changes.
Yep. We're inherently worthy. And that, it doesn't change. Yeah.
But somewhere along the way, whether in our childhood experiences, different things happen, could be trauma. Sometimes that changes. And so that's where we get the fluctuations, with our self-esteem. But one of the things that kind of came up through these conversations was how we use social media today. And how, I don't know, I use the term affect our self-esteem. I know that's not the right kind of thing, but it does influence. Maybe is that a better?
Sure.
We allow it to influence
ourselves? Yeah, I always say it disconnects us from that inherent worth. So for a little bit, we're convinced that our worth has changed when it hasn't. We've just been disconnected from it.
Sure. But that's why, Amanda, we wanted to kind of bring you in. You started with us back in December and took over our social media. We have a Facebook account and we had an Instagram account at that time. And now we have LinkedIn, we're on YouTube and all this stuff, but kind of give us a little bit of background about social media and how it's kind of really evolved. Oh my goodness, even in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I feel like that question could be a podcast in its own. There's so much history to it. But I really believe that kind of the inception to where social media was popular, it kind of started with MySpace, which I know is generations ago compared to where we are today.
Yeah, my generation.
Yeah, we're all guilty of it, setting up your profile, designing your page, adding a little music to it, so it really kind of gave us that foundation to what social media is. But even, fast forwarding, what you're saying, just the last 5 years, we've evolved to Facebook, which is definitely the most popular platform out there. We have Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and then the more recent ones, like Snapchat and TikTok. And TikTok's taken off like crazy, just this past 12 months, and let alone just the last 6 with, the pandemic going on. So, social media has definitely been, like Rebecca hit it, just an influence to everything, any and everything you do has to go on the line. And, so yeah, it's just crazy.
It is. And I know I'm on Facebook and I have an Instagram account that I usually just kind of scroll through and look. I've not gotten into the TikTok or the Snapchat. Yes, I have a LinkedIn, more for professional, it's kind of like I've divided that up. What about you, Rebecca? What social platforms do you use?
Mine's Facebook and Instagram. I recently, over the staying at home pandemic, got on TikTok. It sucks you in. You can't stop watching it. Right. So I really have to limit my time, but I'm a TikToker now.
Yeah, and I think that's a point we have later on to talk about, right? Is how much time. But it's funny. I think TikTok, though, helped people get through those initial months of quarantine.
Yeah.
Those dance offs, the goofy videos, just making people laugh. Now, here's something that I find very interesting when I ask you, Amanda. I already know the answer to this question I'm asking. What social media platforms do you use?
Okay, so let me clarify here. I am on social media. Like I have accounts. I'm just not active on my accounts personally. So it was just a choice that just kind of reality sunk in at home. You know, like my husband and I come home from work and we're on our phones. We're on social media. Like there was no disconnect. So we became kind of that meme that you see, you know, everybody's at the table on their phone, but nobody's talking. That was us. So we needed to kind of take a step back, but it's just over time, like we just kind of stopped being on social media, but I'm on it professionally all day, every day, which is not public.
And I know for me, it's important when I leave work to leave work at work and have home at home. So I really couldn't imagine. And the profession of being a social media specialist too has also, let's just talk about that has just boomed. So I can't imagine doing that as your job all day and then being on it, all night. So I see that it makes sense to have you know, some of that separation. Well, something that we've kind of seen develop, and it first started out kind of as celebrities, you know, got really popular, especially with Facebook and I think Instagram too. The term influencers came out. And now we have people that are just, I say everyday people, but now they're influencers and they're almost in their own right celebrities. So how has that kind of developed and impacted social media?
I think it's really fascinating that even if you step back about 5 years ago, and I know we've joked about this, is like keeping up with the Kardashians, you know, that was kind of like the celebrity influence. But as time has gone on, you have, like you said, everyday people or like just your neighbors are now influencing and reviewing products. And so I think that because it's people that are relatable, that product or that item or lifestyle is now obtainable, where living like a Kardashian really probably isn't, but you know, you can go spend, you know, $30-$40 on that pair of shoes that you see your influencer wearing. So it's really kind of fascinating. And I think it's really cool that, you know, it's become more relatable as far as just like the digital world.
Right. And I know I've bought products and kind of enjoyed that because I see somebody, I'm like, that's me. You know, I can relate more to that. But, and Rebecca, maybe this is where you can kind of help us with that, with the influencers. You know, we see so many pictures that are filtered and they look perfect. And we've got these moms that have their perfect kids. You know, I don't know how you get a 3-year-old in a white outfit to stay clean all day. Or they're on their vacations and, you know, these, you know, beautiful situations and all that. And how is that affecting people, and how, you know, and what can they do as far as take that and kind of work that into their self-esteem?
Yeah. So one thing in the model that we talked about is reality-based esteem. And so that's the esteem where we compare our reality to others, which isn't a new thing, because if you think about it, I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, from a very young age, when you're going to school, it's like, you know, where are you at in class? Like, what's your grades? What are you doing? You know, how are you excelling? And so we've done that for a very long time. But I think, and Amanda, I'm sure you would agree, but it's in our face more than ever. Like I have a little device that's like, here's somebody else's reality. Let me compare to my own and see that. And so with that, and one thing is our self-esteem is an inside job. It's got to happen on the inside. And so if I find myself looking at social media, and of course, you know, I brought this up before, but like my picture of my family, it's like, you don't see the 50 pictures that were just blurry and double chins and, you know, tails in your face and from my dog. And so we put our best out there. And so if we go in there and start looking and comparing our reality, it really can impact, you know, is my life worthy? You know, my pictures don't look like this, or maybe my hair doesn't look like this, or we don't see the filters on someone's face. And so we start comparing our reality, and that really can impact our worth if we're using that reality-based esteem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I love the fact that social media has allowed us to be able to connect with people that I wouldn't be able to connect with otherwise. You know, people from high school that live in different states or even different countries, family members. You know, I've got some older aunts and uncles that, believe it or not, Facebook is an easier way for them to communicate and stay in touch with. And I think that's awesome. I also have those friends who I'm like, every day, I'm like, how do you get up and look that way every day? And then I'm kind of like, you know what? I know you. I know this is not real. You know? But I have to work at, for me, not to do that, not wanting to put out, oh, well, you put a picture, you know, over here by your pool. So I'm going to go try to get the right angle, the right thing, and put the filter in. Or did y'all know there's an app that can put your makeup on for you?
Oh.
Yeah, my sister told me about this. So seriously, she'll take pictures with no hair and makeup on, and she goes to this app and she puts whatever kind of glamour she wants, and there she is. Now she's going to shoot me for saying this, but that's what she does on her pictures, you know. But we have all of this. So how do we filter? I'm going to use the word filter that out. So in a way to kind of protect ourselves with that.
Yeah. So I think it's sometimes you've got to do the work on yourself. I mean, if you're finding your esteem is coming from how I compare to others, it's a good indicator to maybe start exploring your worth. You know, and that can be done in therapy, that can be done in just, you know, self-help or, you know, but being aware of it, you know, if that's impacting how you feel about yourself, notice that. I think the other thing is realizing that's not reality. That's not true reality. And so anytime you see a picture that looks perfect, you know that there are pictures that are not perfect, that they don't show you, or, you know, there's things we don't see in those pictures. When we see like a family go on vacation and it's like, oh, they had such a nice time. It looks like they're so happy. And it's like, we didn't see the arguments they had about where they were going to eat for dinner that, you know, they had.
Right.
And so having that reality check, part of our model is reality. And I know we're going to be talking about that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes checking in, like, what is my reality? Because oftentimes our reality can be really skewed whenever we're seeing maybe our reality through the perspective of another person.
Yeah, great point. You know, Amanda, are we seeing a shift in influencers, those that are not making life be filtered and set up? Are we seeing more real life influencers, I guess is a good way to put it?
Yeah, no, more, I say relatable,
Relatable.
but yeah. No, and just to kind of couple with like what Rebecca was saying, and to answer what you're asking is, personally, I'm really big on environment. So just being mindful of what you're surrounding yourself with. And when it comes to influencers, yes, there are influence out there that are, you know, talking more even about mental health and self-care, and they're showing, you know, the scars, and they're sharing their stories, and it's not filtered. It's very raw. It's very authentic. So it becomes relatable, and it becomes something that you can follow and not feel bad about if you're having a bad day. So even personally, there's a lot of influencers that I was following where I didn't have the $900 shoes or the perfect filter and things like that. But I had to unfollow them and start following people that were going through the same things that I were going through, or things that were relatable and just kind of made me feel better about my environment and my reality. So yeah, I mean, definitely there has been a curve where influencers are now being authentic and real, and it's not, you know, behind a filter. So it's really refreshing to see that trend.
And I think that's a great point, because we do have a choice. I can choose to not follow somebody. I do love the fact that on Facebook now I can choose to hide somebody for 30 days if I just need a break from them. Again, there still may be a friend, you know, but I may just need a little break from them. And so I have a choice in that, because there are some great communities out there. You know, again, this is not about a good, bad, ugly of social media. There's some absolutely wonderful communities that it has developed, and people can connect. Mm-hmm. And in this time, in this pandemic, we've been talking this whole time about connection and how important that is. You know, just this week, a very prominent woman came out and talked about her depression during this time. Mm-hmm. And I love that, you know, that she felt like she could be open and vulnerable, because you know what? I'm like, yeah, I felt that way too.
Yeah. Yeah. That was huge. I saw that. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, the unfollow button can be our friend. But, you know, there's times whenever all I want to see on my Instagram scroll is like puppies and funny memes, you know, and I can do that if I choose, you know, if I need a little giggle throughout the day, I can set it where that's all I'm seeing.
Yeah. And that's the other great thing, you know, and look at you, Rebecca, awesome segue. I mean, let's just talk about memes for a second. And that's kind of how we wanted to end this conversation was, I mean, and sometimes that's the rabbit hole I can go down to at night, you know, is just looking at memes and different things. And I do have to be careful with my social media time. Just like anything in excess or anything that takes me out of my reality, that's not a good thing. You know, that's not necessarily about social media, but if I am, and I'm going to use the word addicted to Facebook, you know, because it will take me out of my reality. So I don't have to be present with myself. You know, that's not a good thing, whether it's exercise, food, you know, anything else, not good.
Yeah.
So making sure I'm choosing, you know, to stay in my reality. But yeah, social media has given us a chance to laugh. And that has been wonderful. So we wanted to share kind of some of our favorite memes before we left. We'll kind of let everybody kind of talk about theirs. Now, some may apply to all of us, which is kind of funny. So I'm thinking, is this yours, Amanda?
Yeah. It pulls at my heartstrings. I got
that face.
I know. And I think that what's important for our listeners to know is we are all dog lovers.
Yep.
And would have all the dogs in the world if we could.
Yes.
So this one's mine, former math teacher, and I cannot tell you how true this is, but I have loved Baby Yoda. He is like my king of the memes right now. But that was the face. It's like, yes, can you just give us the answer so we don't have to Okay, Amanda, you did this, but I think Rebecca, I think both of us, our husbands would kill us if we brought another dog home.
You know, actually for us, it's the other way around. Like he's like I mean, I love it, but yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how many times I came home with a new puppy. I was like, sorry, like.
Okay, yeah, I brought a goat home before. That's a whole nother story for another podcast. But yeah, I will bring any animal that needs help home. So
I love that story.
Oh, okay. And if you know me, you know my shoes. And if Teresa was on this podcast, she would agree with me definitely on this one as well.
Yeah. So true. Yes.
Yes.
I love BB-8. Love BB-8. So this is just funny because it's BB-8.
It is BB-8. It's just flat out BB-8.
Clever.
Yes. And in honor of Miss Tanya Tucker.
That's her all day, every day.
Yeah. Now explain this one, Rebecca.
Here it comes. Cheesy humor.
Yes, and I was going to say on that cheesy note, we will definitely end and put people out of their misery. But if you would like to share your favorite meme with us, or have a question of what we've talked about with self-esteem, or just anything that you would love to hear, kind of the green shoe perspective, next week we are going to get into talking more about reality and our reality, and how that fits into our model. But definitely reach out to us. Find us on the socials. We are definitely on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Did I miss anything, Amanda? Twitter, yes. Cannot forget about Twitter, but definitely reach out to us for those questions. And Amanda, thank you so much for joining us with your beautiful face today. I know you're always there behind the scenes. And Rebecca, love it as always. Thank you so much.
This was fun.
Yes, it was definitely fun. So I think we may have to incorporate the memes. That was definitely a good way. So we will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.